everyone, welcome back to my channel. If I am wearing the same thing in the last video, I can't really remember, but I've already put it on and I've already gotten ready for this video, so it's staying on. And if it's the same shirt as I was wearing last time, just pretend it isn't. Okay, thank you so much. Also, the lighting is not bearing with me today. I have literally literally no windows open and I still look very ghostly. I don't know if that's just me coming back from being self-tanned and having a very scary moment with how ghostly I'm looking. But all of those issues aside, today I have my March reading wrap up for you guys. This month was insane for me, insanely good. I read a total of 9 books, which is actually crazy. 2 of them are little novellas. But still, that is actually very insane to me. My brain can't comprehend how I did that. I'm wondering if it was spring break and being able to get ahead on my reading. But 9 books is very, very crazy, and they were all really, really good. I don't have anything really negative to say about any of these books. Starting off March strong. If you watched my last video, you know that I was very much in search of a 5-star, and so I decided to go ahead and reread Funny Story by Emily Henry. I actually reread this one, and it was still very, very good. If you don't know what this is about, basically our female main character, Daphne, gets broken up with in order for her fiance to go and date our male main character, Miles' girlfriend. So they're the two significant others of our main characters are childhood best friends. They're about to get married, Daphne and her fiance, and then the female best friend of her fiance is I love you and I have always loved you. So he calls off the wedding and kind of essentially kicks Daphne out of their house. She has nowhere to go. Obviously, Miles now has room in his apartment now that his girlfriend is dating Daphne's ex-fiance. It's crazy. This is actually very tongue-twistery, but it works, and it is absolutely amazing. Still a 5 stars. I wouldn't count it as my first 5-star of the year because I know going into this was still going to be a 5 stars for me because I love this story so much. I love Miles a lot. Also just really love the whole kind of theme of Daphne trying to find herself outside of her relationship with her ex-fiance. They go a lot into detail about how Daphne was a we person, we as in me and my fiance are doing this, me and my fiance have this. And then when she gets out of that relationship, obviously she is kind of just lost with herself and doesn't know how to function without another half, another person, which used to be her mom for her before she got into a relationship. And so basically throughout the book, we're also not just navigating her relationship with Miles, but we're also navigating her relationship with herself. And I think that is just so good. It was so chef's kiss. I will always love this book. I will always recommend it. Definitely my favorite Emily Henry book. So yeah, definitely 5 stars. Not gonna count it as my first 5 stars because we will be getting to that, but it was just amazing and I loved it. My second book for March was Scythe by Neal Shusterman. Probably butchering that. This book has been haunting me forever. I see it all over Book Talk. I see it all over BookTube. I'm not a big sci-fi reader, but this year I kind of wanted to test my limits and read new genres. So this is not really my first sci-fi book, but for the year it was my first, and I don't know, I would call it my first sci-fi book. I actually have a real recollection of reading it. In this book, in the world, they have conquered absolutely everything. They've conquered hunger, they've conquered death, illness, literally everything, and that is all thanks to the help of AI. It's called the Thunderhead, so kind of like iCloud, I guess. I don't know, but it is called the Thunderhead, and that is the artificial intelligence that has been able to exceed everything and get rid of death and all that good stuff. It is very crazy. So, as you can imagine, if no one's dying, the population is obviously getting out of hand, and so we have in this world these scythes who get to glean people, which is not really it's basically killing them, but in this world, it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Okay, it's crazy. They get to glean people, they get to kill people to kind of keep the population under check, and they kind of have to go through these different rules and regulations in order to glean someone, and they obviously have like meetings and stuff. But the Thunderhead, the AI, cannot rule these people. They do not like fall under their jurisdiction, and so they're kind of like on their own and stuff like that. So our female main character Citra and our male main character Rowan in this book are apprentices, oh my god, to this master scythe. He's been doing it forever, and he decides to take these two apprentices on, and they are trying to kind of like learn how to be a scythe, what it means to be a scythe, outside of their own, you know, knowledge of it. Because obviously if you're like a human being, you think scythes are like so scary. You don't like, you just think they're killing people left and right for fun. But as they are in their apprenticeship, they kind of get to know the inner workings of it all and all that good stuff. Now, this book pleasantly surprised me. I gave it 5 stars. It was my first 5-star read of the year, and genuinely I have not stopped thinking about this book since I read it. Obviously with everything that's going on in our world right now with AI and all that stuff, like literally like ChatGPT is so new to us, and so it just kind of hits like a lot harder, I feel like. And it was just so beautifully written. I loved the way we were going back and forth between the two, and it's just like actually insane to me how he came up with this idea and can write these characters so well. They had so much depth. It was so good. And like I said, I have not stopped thinking about it since I read it. I kind of like, not creepy, I wouldn't say this is a creepy book, but I don't know, it gets you thinking, and I really like books like that. And so I feel like this was right up my alley, and I just didn't know it. And I'm so excited I decided to branch out because I loved it. I loved it so much. I literally talk to everyone that I know about this book if I can, if they'll let me, because I can yap about this book forever. I'm not gonna do that to you guys because, like I said, we have 9 books to get through and this video is already really long. But just know that if you were thinking about picking this up, please, please do. It is, I think, a trilogy. I did already buy the second book. It's somewhere over here. And I'm just so excited to get back into these characters. There's plot twists. It's so good. It's amazing. I loved it so much. Next on my Kindle, and my Kindle is kind of like a reoccurring thing this month. I read a lot of books on my Kindle. I have slowly become a very big Kindle girly. I've always loved my Kindle, but as you can see, my shelf is literally overflowing and I have absolutely no more room for like another shelf. So I've been forced to start reading on my Kindle, and I loved it. But anyways, the third book that I read this month was Beneath the Stars by Emily McIntyre on my Kindle. This book in particular was my book club's book pick for the month of March. And this book is crazy. So in this book, we're following Alina, who lives in a small town in Tennessee. She gets these new neighbors that are in the foster care system in this small town, and eventually they get adopted, and so they're neighbors. Like, I think they're a couple houses down from each other. And in the book, we're just following their relationship between the brother and sister who are adopted, and Alina, who is best friends with the sister and kind of has like these feelings for the brother. And they go from like high school to college and beyond, and we're seeing that develop. Things get crazy. It is really just, I'll put my Goodreads like review up here. If you don't follow me on Goodreads, I'll have the link down below. I've been trying to like really get better at doing Goodreads and like leaving actual reviews and stuff. But my review mentioned it being a dumpster fire, and I completely stand by that. There's so much drama going on in this that it's like very, very hard to even look away from. Like, I don't know, like y'all know I love Magnolia Parks, but the drama in this just felt so forced. Like, it was like the author knew that the book's plot didn't have enough substance to keep the reader in, so she was just like throwing all this shit at us to keep us in there. And honestly, it worked. It is like a interconnected standalone series, and so I will say it worked enough for me to want to read the other books to kind of like see the other characters, because the female main character, Alina, in this book, she was insufferable, y'all. She has a very southern twang accent, and I wasn't even listening to this one. Like I said, I read it. I can't imagine listening to it because I could hear how bad it was in my head when I was reading it. Like she'd say like, bless your heart, and so, and just being from the South, I don't know if I just don't like reading small town southern books, being from like kind of like a small town southern city. But something about it was just irking me. But the other characters who have books in the series were kind of interesting me. So that's why I landed on giving it, I think I ended up giving it a 2.75 because it was obviously good enough to make me finish it. Obviously I wanted to finish it because I want to talk about it at my book club, but also I wanted to know what was gonna happen. But it was just like, I don't know, poorly written. Like, I hate saying that, but like genuinely, it wasn't very good. There was no depth. It was just drama. But sometimes that's what you need. So I gave it 2.75 because it wasn't awful. It made me want to read the other books. So I don't know, maybe it was a little bit successful. Next, I read The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. If you know me, I will read absolutely anything Abby Jimenez puts out there. You know the whole grocery list joke about reading her grocery list. And I would absolutely do that because I love Abby Jimenez so much. And so when this finally came out on Kindle Unlimited, I had to read it. It is a novella, so you know, you're obviously not gonna get much in there, but I think Abby Jimenez is one of the few authors who can write a novella and still give it so much depth and just like substance. I don't know. Obviously, I would love for this book to be a full book. It wasn't. I don't think it's going to be, but it was so good. This book is a Valentine's Day book, so it takes place on Valentine's Day, and we have two apartment neighbors. They're on the same level and they're facing each other. One day they walk out and realize that the contractors for the apartments had took away their stairs, so they had nowhere to go. They could not get down at all. The contractors had accidentally done it without telling them, and it was just like this big mix-up. And so the two are like, you know what, this is like a very great staycation. I don't want to, you know, deal with this right now. And so the contractors couldn't come until the next Monday, which gave them the whole weekend. And obviously they're the only two there on that floor, and they're starting to get to know each other because again, they're kind of like, it's kind of like forced proximity. They're alone up there and they get to know each other and their backstories and all that stuff. And let me just tell you, this was so cute. I don't know how she thought of this. Like, I don't know how she thought of the story being that the contractors accidentally took their stairs out, but everything down to that little detail at the end came together so well. I loved it so much. I gave it 4 stars, which is crazy for a novella, I know. But again, Abby Jimenez has my whole entire heart so much because I just love the way she writes, and I can tell with each like story she writes, she's just getting better. And I love this book so much. Again, like I said, I would really love for it to be longer. I think that these characters had so much more depth than she was like able to write. Like, she still wrote about their traumas and stuff like that, but I would have loved to see more, obviously. I just think that this is a great little read if you need like a little refresher. It's free on Kindle Unlimited, and I think they have the audiobook on Audible. But yeah, I think it's a great refresher, and obviously it lives up to the hype. Next, I read Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. I have the copy with me. I don't know where I put it. I cannot find it, which leads me back to my issue of needing another bookshelf, but I don't know where it is, so I'll just pop the picture up here for you guys. I just finished, I think last month, the first book in this like little interconnected standalone series called Out on a Limb, and I absolutely adored it. I had no idea Hannah Bonham Young was like just like everything I like in an author, and so when this one came out, I had to go run and get it, especially because I was very excited about it because we're following 2 high school sweethearts who are married now, kind of not go their separate ways, but like they're having arguments and things are just not clicking with them anymore and they don't know what to do. And so the friend Win, who we see in the first book, suggests that they go on this like camping retreat. It's like no phones, like no outside world. It's just you and your partner and a few other partners who go on this camping retreat with these relationship therapists. So our female main character signs her and Caleb up to do it because he's always work, work, work. And so she has no idea how to communicate what she's been feeling unless she does it at this like retreat. And so they go on the retreat, they solve things, yada, 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 you know the rest. I was so excited for this book because I myself am in a relationship with my high school sweetheart. We've actually known each other since middle school. So we've known each other a very, very long time. And seeing like the meet cutes and romances is super fun, like obviously. But it's also really refreshing to see a different point of view of like high school sweethearts who are kind of like, you know, knocking heads and then getting back together and communicating and stuff like that. So I was very excited for it, but I will say it fell a little flat for me. I'm not sure where. I did end up giving it 3 stars because I thought it was great. I loved the characters in this one. I loved Hannah Bottom Young's writing. I thought the idea of going on a wilderness retreat was amazing, but I think it was just the ending that kind of like got to me. I don't want to say what happens because it's a spoiler, but if you know, you know. The ending kind of like, I don't know. I really don't know what fell flat for me. I just, in my heart of hearts, know that it was a 3 stars. I did give it 4 stars at first, but I think I was just like riding on the high of reading something so different than what I'm used to, like meet cutes and stuff. But it just like fell, I don't know. I cannot tell you guys, which, you know, is what you're here for. You're here to, but I don't know how to explain it. It was good, but I think I just hyped it up so much in my brain because I was so excited for like the childhood sweetheart thing, that it just kind of fell a little flat for me. Next, I listened to Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is the newest book in the Hunger Games series. If you've been living under a rock, I'm sure everyone knows about this by now because the Hunger Games is like crazy huge. And when I was a kid, I read the books. I actually never finished Songbirds and, what is it? Oh, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I never finished it. I think I got about halfway through, but my mistake was watching the movie first and then reading the book. So I just didn't want to finish it. So this time I made sure that I read the book first. I listened to it and I just want to say the person who like narrates it, the perfect Haymitch, like his voice was so Haymitch and I loved it. Anyways, if you don't know, in this book we're following Haymitch Abernathy, who is in the original Hunger Games trilogies, the District 12's like mentor, because he is one of the only living winners of the Hunger Games of their district. So we're going back in time to seeing his games, which I feel like people have been dying for forever. I myself love Haymitch, so I loved it. I think it was great. But yeah, like I said, we're following Haymitch's games, which also happen to be a quarter quell. And every quarter quell, you get 2 times the like nominee or the district names being pulled. So instead of 1 girl and 1 boy from each district, you're getting 2 girls and 2 boys from each district. And from there, I don't want to keep explaining it because we're teetering on spoiler territory, and I think if you're very nostalgic for Hunger Games, you want to have that for yourself. So I'm gonna leave it at that because I think all the little quirks and like drawbacks were just so special because I love the Hunger Games, I love the movies, I loved the books, and I think it was just so special and I loved it a lot. I ended up rating this 4 stars because, like I said, I love Haymitch. You do already know going into this that he wins the games. That's not a spoiler at this point. The books and the movies have been out for years. If you don't know that, I'm sorry, but you gotta get with it. But you do know going in he's gonna win the games, which I thought was gonna kind of put it off for me, but it didn't. I loved it so much. I loved being back into the arena. The difference between this one and Songbirds is that you get more of like the arena scene for a lot longer. I remember when I was reading Songbirds, or Ballad of, we're just gonna call it Songbirds, okay? Just bear with me. When I was reading it, and when you watch the movie too, the whole like fighting and like the actual Hunger Games aspect of it is very short. And in this one, the arena has obviously drastically evolved, which we see in the original Hunger Games trilogy. And so it's so mind-boggling. It's amazing. All the little drawbacks and cameos in this are so crazy. But I will say, I think I would have enjoyed this more reading it physically because I was getting so confused with all the names, like especially like past names that we already know that are cameos. They were just kind of like going past me because I was listening to it, and so I didn't find out until later, like when I was watching TikToks about like, oh, this person is, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you're so right. And then I was like, I probably should have read it and like actually seen the names like with my eyeballs, because I feel like it would have been more crazy, but it was still crazy and I loved it so much. It did not make me cry. Everyone is bawling on this book. I just don't think I have the capability to cry. But it was sad, and it lives up to its hype. The way Suzanne Collins was able to just throw in these little things that she probably didn't know. She probably didn't even know she was gonna write this book when she wrote the original trilogy, but she like tied them in so well. It's insane. She's insane. Next, I read Normal People by Sally Rooney. I know, I haven't read it yet. This is crazy. This book is like dawn of book talk, like fan favorite book talk book. And if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, it also is a TV show, which I feel like a lot of people know that. In this book, we're following Connell and Marianne. Connell is the son of Marianne's family's like housemaid, and so they also go to the same school together, and they're just kind of navigating their relationship. They end up like having feelings for each other, but Marianne is like really weird in high school, and so he thinks that like all his like cool friends, he's like star of the football team, are just like gonna like think he's weird for like going out with her. So we're following them going with their relationship and their friendship, more importantly through high school and then into college and like all that stuff. And it is a very like mundane book, which is good. I want to preface saying that it's very mundane. I ended up giving this 3 stars. I feel like I want to be absolutely attacked for that, but I don't know. I think that I understand the Sally Rooney hype now. This was my first Sally Rooney book and I understand it. She wrote it very well. It was also very fast paced, but I don't know if I just let myself down going into it thinking that it was going to be my all-time new favorite book, because it is everyone else's like, you know, god tier book. I don't know if that was what like hurt it for me. I think that going in, everyone tells you that these characters are so like multi-leveled and so deep, and to me, like having depression and not being able to communicate with each other and thinking each other are, you know, weird in high school enough to not date them is not deep. Like it's just real, which is great, and that's why I think it was good. But I think going into this, people told me that these characters are so deep and like so crazy, but it's like, to me, they just weren't deep. And I don't know, I think I just really set myself up for failure with this one, thinking that I was going to absolutely love it, which is my fault. I did love it. Like obviously 3 stars is not a bad review whatsoever, but I was expecting it to be 5 stars, which is probably my fault. Second to last book for the month is Summer in the City by Alex Astor. And I just want to show you guys this book real fast. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, The Edges. I know people are tired of Edges because it's like, it's making people buy books, you know what I mean? Like I get it, but I couldn't help myself. I love New York City. Oh, also, tell me when you've ever seen a romance book with a map in it. Literally gorgeous. I love this book so much. This book, we follow Elle, who is a undercover huge movie screenwriter. but she, you know, goes by a different alias, and she's been tasked with writing a screenplay about New York and like a romance in New York and like set at all these different points in New York. And she's having a massive writer's block. So she ends up moving back to New York, which she hates New York. And I think that's why she's kind of like having a bit of writer's block. She moves back to New York to try and get this screenplay ready. She hates New York so much because she remembers a time where she was at this club and she met this man who thought that she wanted to go out with him if he would buy her things, and she was like, I'm not like that, like you can't buy me. And so that's kind of like sets off her like anger in Parker, who is our male main character. When they meet for the first time, she's like, he doesn't know me, like I have my own money, but obviously no one knows me because I go under this alias. So when she moves back, she is in this apartment that she is keeping watch for while it's undergoing renovations. It's this super fancy apartment right in Manhattan, and she finds out that Parker is her next door neighbor, and things get crazy. So this is Enemies to Lovers. It's amazing. I loved it so much. I gave it 4 stars because it was so good. And you know, I've never read any of Alex Astor's books. This is her first like adult romance book. I know she normally writes fantasy, but this was so good. Like actually, I loved it so much. The banter in this, like, it was just so good. I have a few like Goodreads updates on this while I was reading it. It was also very fast paced. It's only like a little less than 300 pages. And I just ate it up so much. It was so good. I literally like have nothing to say about this besides like it's the perfect like little refreshing romance, and anything set in New York City, I'm gonna eat it up because I love New York City. I've never been, but I want to go, especially after this. Lastly, and my camera's about to die, so hopefully it doesn't die, but lastly, I read another novella called The Answer is No by Fredrik Backman. I did end up DNFing Beartown this year because I just could not get into it. So I was like, let me try one of his novellas. And in this book, we're basically following this very antisocial people hater. Like he distances himself from people in order to be happy. And in his apartment complex, they are trying to solve this investigation of someone who just left a frying pan like out in the open to like create this like junk, and they're trying to like solve who left the frying pan. And sorry if there was an angle change or a lighting change. My camera did in fact die on me, but anyways, this short story, basically, like I said, we're following this heavily introverted man be turned into kind of like an extroverted guy after the frying pan actually turns into much more than that. People are starting to leave all of their junk there, and it builds up to this huge pile, and he's tasked with figuring out who done it, really. So anyways, I rated this novella 3 stars. I think that it was very funny. It was obviously short, so perfectly refreshing. I read it last night on the 31st so that I didn't start a new book before the 1st because I wanted to read the new Abby Jimenez today. But I thought it was super hilarious. Like it was so funny, and being an introverted person myself, I thought that it was super relatable and it was super funny. It definitely made me like Fredrik Backman a little bit more. Obviously, I only gave Beartown a chance. I do want to give more of his books a chance because I know they're highly coveted and a lot of people love them. I just don't think Beartown was essentially for me. So I think reading this was really good for me to not like kind of like get my hopes down and not want to read another one of his books, because now I'm like, okay, he's funny, I want to read another one. But anyways, yeah, 3 stars. It was a cute little, you know, novella. It had a little bit of a deeper meaning, and it was, like I said, it was actually really funny. Like, I don't know, that guy's funny. Anyways, that is the 9 books that I read in March. Still crazy saying that. I literally had no idea. I don't know how I did it. I still can't fathom that, but that was the 9 books that I read in March. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below if any of these are your favorite, what your 5 stars of the year have been so far. Now that I finally found one, I'm feeling a little bit better about my reading year. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.